So I'm very grateful for the opportunity to talk about the evidence for the resurrection. This is probably the most important part of apologetics, the rational defense of Christianity, that there was, in fact, a resurrection. As the Apostle Paul said, that if the resurrection did not happen, then we are dead in our faith and more to be pitied. So I want to put into your minds a phrase, explanatory power. Explanatory power. That is, what theory, what option, what idea explains best a certain set of events or phenomena. And I'm going to illustrate that hopefully humorously. So I want to cover 3 points: the idea of dying for a belief. Why would the apostles die or suffer persecution? And then evidence for the fate of the apostles. And I have to start off with a rather provocative question. Do suicide bombers die for the truth? We've all seen in the news, we keep seeing in the news, suicide bombers somewhere in the world dying for what they think is the right cause. And we can observe that they die for what they believe to be true, which looks a lot like what the apostles did. But we have to ask ourselves, well, we think that what they believe is false. The bombers believe that what they believe in is true. So how do we decide? Is there a similarity with the apostles? If the resurrection were false, would the apostles be willing to die for what they believe to be false? And this is the key difference between a suicide bomber and the apostles, that the bombers believe in something that's true. They believe it, so therefore they think it's true, and therefore they're willing to die for it. But here we're going to work on the supposition that the resurrection is false, and the apostles know that it's false, but yet are they willing to die for that? And so I'm going to watch a short video to illustrate the point of this premise. If the resurrection were false, would the apostles be willing to die for what they believed to be false? And there's a bit of a punchline to this video, so I have to help you understand it. And that is that the Apostle John wrote the book of Revelation on the island of Patmos. And that is this island way out in the middle of nowhere, off the coast of Greece. Near Greece. Just for reference, if you've heard of the city of Ephesus with the Ephesians, there's Ephesus over there, and finally Athens in Greece is over there. So let's see if we can take apart this video.
Are we all here? I need 100% participation for this to work.
Yeah, everyone's here. All 12. 11. 11 of us. Well, what's the plan?
Well, as you know, Jesus is dead. But stick with me, okay? Stick with me. I have a plan. We are going to steal his body.
Okay, I'm tracking with you. What's next?
And then we're going to tell the whole world that he rose from the dead.
Oh, you know I'm in.
I love it already.
All right, classic. Then what?
And then we're all going to get brutally murdered.
Wait. Come again. Could you go over that last part real quick?
Oh, what? We get murdered. What's the problem?
I like it. I like it. I mean, don't get me wrong, Pete. I love me a good hoax as much as the next guy, right? What's in it for us? Do we all get riches, fame, and fortune first, right?
No, get this. You're going to be hated, persecuted, and reviled for the rest of your life.
Okay, guys. Okay, fellas. Look, I gotta be missing something here, right? Okay? I mean, why on earth would we do this? Can we start over?
Oh, okay. We'll start from the beginning. Everybody for John,
Yeah.
the beloved disciple.
So, okay. We go down to Jesus' tomb.
Sounds good.
This is really easy.
Then we pay off the Roman soldiers that are guarding the tomb with their lives.
Why would they do that?
Then we somehow roll away the big stone that's in front of the tomb.
Obviously, you have to move the rock first. Duh.
And then we steal his body.
Yeah, I mean, I guess.
Then we tell the whole world that he rose from the dead. And we get brutally murdered for our troubles!
Epic break, bro.
Peter, you rock! Okay, guys. Okay, and then what?
Then we all get killed. Come on.
When do we see ourselves become exalted and praised?
That's just it. You don't!
What is happening? Anyone hear what I'm saying? This is the most idiotic plan of all time!
Chill out, bro. I mean, do I really have to explain the joke to you? Look, it's that we lie about Jesus' resurrection, and then we all die.
How am I supposed to chill out when our heads are getting cut off? Or worse, what is wrong with you guys? Thomas! Okay, look, back me up here. I know you can't be cool with all this. I know you gotta have some doubts. Come on.
Doubts? I don't know about having any doubts!
Okay, you guys have officially lost it, okay? I am out of here. I'd rather be exiled to a deserted island than spend another minute with you wackos.
Have I got some good news for you?
All right, so I hope you got the punchline there. Have I got some good news for you? That's the Apostle John, who's the skeptic. He would be exiled to the island of Patmos to write Revelation, so hopefully you got a chuckle there. But anyways, this is, I thought, a very good way of illustrating the absurd conclusion that the apostles would be absolutely rejoicing, absolutely thrilled to die for something that they know is false, that they know that it's a lie, that Jesus was resurrected. And it rests on a certain supposition that the apostles were indeed persecuted for their faith. And so a scholar by the name of Sean McDowell, you might have recognized his more famous father, Josh McDowell, and Sean has taken on the mantle of apologetics and defending the Christian faith. He wrote a book called The Fate of the Apostles. That is, what happened, in fact, to the apostles after they began preaching the truthfulness of the resurrection. Well, I have to boil it down for you. So he has the likelihood of martyrdom, and he has a scale of 1 to 9, 1 being least probable, 9 being most probable. And he collects all of the ancient testimony. We only have actually in the Bible 2 accounts of 2 disciples dying, one of them being Judas, so we really don't count him. So for the most confident, highest possible probability is Peter, Paul, James, and also James, the brother of Jesus. James, the brother of Jesus, was not a disciple, but he was the brother of Jesus, and he went on to die for his faith. And that we have a rating of 9, the highest possible probability. And then we move down to what the ancient literary sources talk about Thomas, and Sean gives him a rating of 7, more probable than not. And finally we get to Andrew, who has only a rating of 6, more plausible than not. So we're starting to move away from the likelihood of martyrdom, but that doesn't mean that they didn't suffer. They still suffered. But here we're just talking about how likely it is for these individuals to have died for their faith. And finally, the largest group, Philip, Bartholomew, Matthew, James, Thaddeus, Simon the Zealot, and Matthias, who replaced Judas Iscariot. He all gives them a rating of 5 out of 9. And so it's plausible, not probable, not improbable, but just it's possible that they died for their faith. We simply don't have enough information. And the least probable or improbable is the Apostle John, who scholars are quite confident was indeed exiled to the island of Patmos, where he lived out the rest of his life. So, but what's interesting is that we have no evidence whatsoever that any of them recanted, and there certainly was persecution, starting with Nero in roughly 64 to 66 A.D., when there was the Great Fire of Rome, and Nero demonstrably blamed the Christians. And there was certainly a chance to recant and say, you know what, I'm not a Christian. Nobody did that. We have no testimony to that. And from then on until Christianity becomes the state religion of the Roman Empire in the 380s, where there's more persecution, we simply don't have any accounts of any of these early believers saying, you know what, none of this is true, I'm changing my religion. And so the disciples, we can say, certainly were dying for what they believed to be true. They were willing to die for what they believed to be true, suffering or dying. And this belief was based on first-hand eyewitness experience. And getting back to the suicide bombers, like especially today, are relying on second-hand testimony from others that their actions will be rewarded. If I can add that the Islamic suicide bombers, they're relying on something that Muhammad said back in the 600s AD, whereas these apostles were relying on something that were communicated to them directly, firsthand, in person. Another big difference. And so the apostles died or suffered persecution because they believed it to be true. People die for what they believe to be true. People don't die for what they believe to be false. The apostles died or suffered persecution because they believed it to be true, and no apostle ever changed his story despite the high costs.